because there is actually a formula for increasing your billings or making more stuff happen in recruitment. And to be fair, this applies to most things in business, but we're talking about recruitment. So I'm going to relate it to that. Okay. So there is what you do for actions.
What's it called? The formula for?
It's just a success formula. I haven't got a snappy title for it. I wish I did. If you have any suggestions, I'll happily research them. The first one is action, what you're doing. Second is the volume or cadence at which you're doing it. Yeah? And the third is, and this is a bit of a catch-all, oops, can't spell word technique. And it's the skill, quality, or technique. So what you do, e-shot. How often do you do it? Once a week to 5 people. Yeah. What's the quality of it? Oh, it's a bit all right. It's pretty average. Okay. What do you do? E-shots. How often do you do it? Once a day to 10 people, as opposed to once a week to 5. How's the quality? Much tighter, much more in your face. Gets better responses. Okay. The only way you know that, by the way, is from the responses that you're getting. You can't hallucinate it. You can't decide it looks better, so it must be good. Okay? But here's the thing. If you put some multiplication symbols in there, it becomes revenue or results. Because there's only 3 variables. We're in marketing, we're in sales. There's only 3 variables. There's what you're doing, how often or how much you're doing it, and how well you're doing it, or the technique you're applying to it. That's it. Oh, it's a bit simplistic. No, it's not. It's simple. Yeah? So if you want to get better results, let's say you wanted to double your revenue or results, well, you could double the amount of stuff you're doing. But at a certain point, you're done. At a certain point, you can't increase your volume or your cadence without affecting your quality. Because you might be able to send an e-shot once a day to 10 people instead of 5, once a day instead of once a week. Yeah, you could probably do that. But at a certain point, you can't randomly introduce new people. You can't randomly invent decision makers. Well, I'm trying to get partners at PE firms, but I'm just going to throw in plumbers. At a certain point, there's a volume limit. There's a volume limit to how many calls you can make. There's a volume limit to how long in the day you can be on the phone. There's a volume limit to whatever. Okay? But when you multiply these things together, all sorts of weird magical shit happens. So, if you start to do e-shots, okay, and then once you've found a formula that works, which is back to quality, okay, if you increase the tempo and you increase the volume of it, you'll start to get magnified results off the bottom of it. Yeah. Bloody obvious, isn't it, really? Yeah. You're doing that, you're doing e-shots, you're sending out a volume, and your results are kind of flatlining. Okay. Well, it's been working, but you can't get it to work better. In that case, you're going to have to look at how you're doing it. You're going to have to look at the way you're wording it. You're going to have to look at your subject line. You're going to have to look at, can you reduce it? Can you turn it into a massive 500-word story? Can you just make it one word? What can you, on the extremes, by the way. But what do you do? Yeah. There's somebody in my industry, in the training industry. He does training for just salespeople, doesn't do recruitment, just does salespeople generally. And his e-shots now have literally no content in the conventional sense. They are just links to videos. They're links to landing pages. And he'll just put a headline on, put a link to the landing page, and a certain number of people are clicking through. Because I can see his revenue numbers. So, different ways of doing stuff. So if you're saying, okay, well, I'm doing my phone calls, and I'm getting a certain level of response rate, but I just keep banging up against gatekeepers and banging up against receptionist, PA, body in the call centre that won't put me through. Yeah. Well, okay. What you need then is, okay, I need to find mobile numbers, or I need to get better at getting past the gatekeeper, and that will. You won't change the volume. You don't change the strategy. You just change the way in which you're doing it. Bang, your results go up. Okay. So if you want your results to go up, I'm kind of assuming everybody here does, those are your three options. That's literally the only three ways you can do it. In the same way as there are only three ways to make a business bigger. You either get more customers, paying more, coming back more often. That's the only way Novo grows. You get some combination of more customers, paying more each time, coming back more frequently. That's how business grows. This is how a person's revenue grows. What's the strategy? How often, how fast, how frequently? And can you change the technique or the approach or the system or the style to get a different result off it? That kind of makes sense? Yeah? Okay. So let's start to, I've asked you if it makes sense, let you show me it makes sense. Okay? So we've been through what you've changed or how you've changed it at this point. Okay? You're in your new financial year. Okay? If you want to blow the doors off, not this quarter, if you want to blow the doors off next quarter, okay, because we're in recruitment and you're playing at reasonably senior level, so to a certain extent, your revenue this quarter is already in the pipeline. Okay? I'm not suggesting you don't hammer the crap out of it, the front end. Okay? Do. But for next quarter, how do you make that go up for next quarter? What do you do? What do you do that's different? Or how do you change your volume or your frequency? And how do you change the approach you're taking to it? Okay. If you could, how would you? By the way, I've just thrown that one in like it's nothing. That kind of little question. Yeah. When I used to do therapy work, or if I was doing a big event, and you just get people who are stuck. Well, what can you do? I don't know. And you literally say, I know you don't know. If you did know, where would you start? And it sounds stupid, but it almost always goes click, door opens, light bulbs come on. I know it's almost facetiously simple, but it does work. So if you knew what to do, or if you want an external reference, if you had somebody who would tell you what to do, where would they start? Where would you start if you knew exactly what to do to bring in 50% more next quarter? Yeah? Because there's no point aiming for a little bit. Yeah? Aim for 50%, aim for doubling, because then if you fall short, you'll still hit 30%. Yeah? So if you were going to grow 50, 100% next quarter, how would you go about it? What could you, what would you, what should you, what might you do? Discuss, ladies and gentlemen.